Welcome to the Central Texas Huddle on Lone Star Gridiron. I'm your host, Tony Blaylock, and I'll be back with all the action from Central Texas high school football right after these messages.
With open enrollment coming soon for Medicare, ACA, Obamacare, and small group plans for businesses with less than 100 employees, if you're in need of health insurance solutions, look no further than HAP Insurance Agency. Yes, HAP Insurance Agency is a fantastic resource right in the heart of College Station, Texas. Whether you're in retirement, a business owner, or simply looking for the best health coverage option, HAP Insurance Agency has got you covered. You can find them in College Station at 1551 Greens Prairie Road West, Suite 101A, or give Holly Pritchard a call at 972-897-0814. That's HAP Insurance Agency.
Looking to boost your company's marketing? Look no further than Fresh Media Works. Podcasting is the best way to promote your brand and increase your customer base. You can create your own show, be a guest on other podcasts, or advertise on existing podcasts to reach a valuable audience. Don't wait. Start elevating your marketing game today with Fresh Media Works. Call now, 713-269-4620, or find us online at freshmediaworks.com/podcasting.
I want to thank HAP Insurance of College Station, Fresh Media Works, and 90's Sweeter Side for their sponsorship of the Central Texas Huddle. Let's get right into the action from Week 9. And one of our featured games was Dripping Springs and Lake Travis. And Dripping Springs led this one from start to finish, and they take down the Lake Travis Cavaliers 24-6. With this, the Tigers move to 5-1 in District 26-6A and take over sole possession of second place. For Dripping Springs, it was Jack Tyndall with 38 carries, 216 yards, including a 57-yard touchdown run that broke the game open. Maddox Mayer was 7 of 16 passing for 98 yards and had 2 rushing touchdowns. Kyle Koch had 5 receptions for 70 yards. And our Lone Star Gridiron's Steve Thomas caught up with Dripping Springs head coach Galen Zimmerman after the game.
Yeah, you said it.
So, Coach, last year you beat these guys, and this year you dominated. How do you feel to kind of back it up and prove that last year wasn't a fluke?
Well, I feel like every every Friday night game is important, and so I mean this is a big one, I think, for everybody in the area, but really for us it's a big one because it's a district game. It's 2 of the top 3 teams in the district, and so that's important for us as far as just winning a game, kind of keep us in second place. That's important for us.
Did last week light a fire under your team?
Well, I think I don't know about lit a fire. I think though that they're hungry. A loss like that where it's just really physical, really emotional. You can either go 2 different ways, and ours were they were disappointed, but they were motivated. Hey, we are close. We got to continue to get better, and so that's what I love. About this group of where they went this week is they went to, hey, we know we can play at a top tier level. And we need to practice like that, and let's get after it. They were excited Monday. They were excited to get back on the practice field.
What was talking about physicality? What can you say about the play of your offensive and defensive lines?
Well, that's huge. I mean, that if you can control the line of scrimmage, on Friday night, you've got a chance to win a lot. And so, I mean, that's one of those things that we've got some guys that sometimes don't necessarily look like offensive linemen, but they are fierce, and so we love the energy that they bring. And then our defensive line, since I've been here, our defensive linemen have really played bigger than they are because we're not huge. I mean, we've got some decent size, but they just really go play like they're bigger than they are, and that's what I love about them. They're tenacious. They encompass what we talk about being fast and violent. That's kind of how this game is played. And if you can be fast to the ball and in violent motion, then you've got a chance. You really do if you can play on their.
And thanks to Steve Thomas and Derby's Reed's head coach Galen Zimmerman for that post-game interview. Now we move on to the New Braunfels-Clemens game. New Braunfels and Church Clemens were tied at 17 at the end of regulation. Clemens scored on their first possession of overtime to take a 24-17 lead. New Braunfels ties the game up at 24. Then New Braunfels has the ball first and second overtime. They score, and they convert the mandatory two-point conversion attempt to take a 32-24 lead. Clemens scored on their possession to pull within 32-30, but the Unicorns get a sack on the two-point conversion attempt, and New Braunfels walks out with a 32-30 win. For the Unicorns, it was Leighton Adams, who was 11 of 21 passing, 181 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and he added 45 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. Tyree Johnson had 21 carries for 111 yards and 1 touchdown, and Les Begley had 4 receptions for 81 yards. I'll go on to Huddle and Copper's Cove. Huddle has played a number of really close games, and this one is no exception. Huddle led 17-14 at the half. Copper's Cove took a 20-17 lead in the third, and then Copper's Cove scores with 2:47 left in the game to push their lead to 33-24. Huddle scored with 1 minute and 7 seconds left to pull within 33-31, recovered the onside kick, and scored with 15 seconds left in the game to escape with a 38-33 win. For Huddle, it was Will Hammond, who was 29 of 38 passing for 415 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also added 54 yards rushing and 3 rushing touchdowns. Alex Green had 13 receptions for 184 yards and 1 touchdown. And Keelan Chavis had 5 receptions for 115 yards and 1 touchdown. Let's go on to the Leander Pflugerville-Hendrickson game. Hendrickson led this game 33-7 as they approached the halftime. Leander then scored 3 straight times to cut the lead to 33-27 by late third quarter. Hendrickson increased their lead to 40-27 in the fourth quarter, and then Leander scored with 7 minutes left in the game to cut the lead to 40-34, and scored again 2 minutes later on a Logan Mitchell to Joseph Morrow pass to take a 41-40 lead and would hold on to win by that score. For Leander, Mitchell was 15 of 18 passing for 244 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 16 carries for 82 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Zane Woolridge had 8 receptions for 152 yards and 1 touchdown. Next up, we're going to talk about Waco University Trojans against Leander Rouse. And Waco University wins this game 27-19. With this, University creates a 3-way tie along with Rouse and Belton for the lead in 11-5 AD2. And Waco University and Belton face off in Week 11 in what will be obviously a key game in this district. For University, Ladarius Evans had 22 carries for 122 yards and 1 touchdown. Carlos Perez had 3 carries for 111 yards. Caden Bynum was 14 of 20 passing for 201 yards with 2 touchdowns. He also added a rushing touchdown. And London Smith had 10 receptions for 81 yards and 1 touchdown. For Rouse, Justin Cannon had 28 carries for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. London Morgan was 14 of 23 passing for 138 yards, and Noah Fabilla had 5 receptions for 69 yards.
Do you have a party coming up or just want a special gift? Check out Nani's Sweeter Side. Yes, Nani's Sweeter Side makes the most amazing custom-created sugar cookies with your design. They also offer paint your own cookies and decorate your own cookies. Those make an excellent, sweet activity that you can sink your teeth into at parties. Nani's also offers some of the most amazing cupcakes ever. You can check out Nani's Sweeter Side at nanisweeterside.com. That's Nani. Check her out on Facebook. Just look for Nani's Sweeter Side. Or give her a call at 937-499-4790. At Nani's Sweeter Side, you'll find that happiness is homemade.
Hey, did you play Texas high school football? If you did, you're part of an elite group, the Brotherhood of Texas High School Football. All football players, past and present, who have ever suited up in the Lone Star State are eligible. Go to LoneStarGridiron.com/brotherhood. And thank you for the part you played in the greatest sport in the greatest state.
Now, one of the key games down in 4A was Stephenville versus China Spring. Stephenville dominated early, jumped out to a 28-7 lead, and went on to win this game 31-20 over China Spring. For Stephenville, Ryan Gafford was 14 of 20 passing for 221 yards. Tate Miraska had 23 carries for 142 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Bryson Powell scored on both of his carries. Tristan Gentry had 7 receptions for 139 yards. Drop down another level. Let's talk about LaGrange and Giddings. And Giddings wins this game 23-21. For Giddings, it was Bryson McDaniel with 33 carries and 121 yards. Gunnar Fromm had 113 yards passing, and Wyatt Kazimirski had 3 receptions for 63 yards. Staying in 3A, and this was one of the big upsets of the week, Lorena 52, Franklin 49. Franklin led the game 42-35 when Lorena's Brian Henry recorded a 1-yard touchdown run to tie the game at 42 with just under 11 minutes left in the game. Lorena took the lead 49-42 on a 21-yard touchdown run by Henry. With just over 6 minutes left in the game, Franklin's Jaden Jackson broke a 29-yard touchdown run to tie the game at 49 with just under 3 minutes remaining. Then Lorena's James Webb nailed a 34-yard walk-off field goal for the win as Lorena takes down Franklin, who had won 39 in a row. Snaps the longest active winning streak in the state, and it's Franklin's first loss since December 17th of 2020. For Lorena, the stars were Caden Roberts, who was 14 of 29 for 245 yards and 2 touchdowns passing. Braylon Henry had 33 carries for 234 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. And Brock Koo had 6 carries for 86 yards and 1 touchdown. Let's drop down and just do a real quick on San Saba 40, Goldway 35. For San Saba, it was Ethan Gonzalez with 19 carries for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lane Miller had 93 yards passing and 85 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns rushing. And Skylar Romero had 1 reception, 53 yards for a touchdown. Another big game at the lower ranks was between Chilton and Granger. And Jose Valverde nailed a field goal with under 2 minutes left in the game, and Granger takes down Chilton 17-14. For your Granger Lions, it was Chade Andrews, who was 12 of 23 passing for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had 28 carries for 204 yards rushing. Thomas Youngblood had 4 receptions for 89 yards and 1 touchdown. And 13-2A-D2 is a real dogfight now, because now there's a 4-way tie for first between Chilton, Granger, Iola, and Bremen, with only 2 weeks to go in the season. And now let's take a look at the rankings and how the outcomes of those games may have affected some of the rankings. In 6A, tied for 4th is Westlake, and they'll be hosting Austin Bowie this week. Number 7, Austin Vandegrift will be at Vista Ridge. Cibolo Still is tied for 12th, and they'll be hosting intra-district rival Judson. Dripping Springs, after their big win, checks in at 17th, and they'll be at Austin Del Valle. And Lake Travis falls to 20, and they will be hosting Austin High. In 5AD1, it's number 5 Smithson Valley will be at Hayes Consolidated. College Station checks in tied for 7th, and they will be playing their intra-district rival A&M Consolidated. And San Antonio Wagner is tied for 11th, and they will be hosting Seguin. 5AD2, Alamo Heights is tied for 8th, and they will be at San Antonio Linear. In 4AD1, number 1 is Bernie, and they will be hosting Somerset. Stephenville is up to number 8, and they will be at Alvarado. China Spring is now number 10, and they will be hosting Waxahachie Live. Davenport is 12th, and they will be hosting Burnett. And Waco La Vega is 13th, and they will be on their open week this week. 4AD2, Wimberley checks in tied for 2nd, and they will be playing Lago Vista. Cuero is tied for 5th, and they will be hosting Smithville. In a big district game, number 13 Madisonville is at number 15 Waco Connolly. Drop down to 3AD1. Number 1 Columbus is open this week. Franklin is now tied for 5th, and they are at Cameron Yo. Number 10 Lorena is hosting Troy. Number 11 Jourdanton is hosting Littell. Hallettsville checks in tied for 14th, and they will be at number 3 Hitchcock. 3AD2, it's number 5 Poth, who will be hosting Comfort. Get down to 2AD1. Number 10 Mason is at Stockdale. Number 11 Holland host Schulenburg. And number 13 Centerville host Normandy. And wrap it up in 2AD2. Number 1 Mart is at Dawson. Number 9 Chilton is hosting Iola. Number 10 Granger is hosting Milano. And number 11 Bremond is hosting Bartlett. Quick reminder, you can see all our statewide rankings at LoneStarGridiron.com. Not just the rankings for Central Texas, but rankings for the entire state. I want to thank Hamp Insurance of College Station, Fresh Media Works, and Nani's Sweeter Side for their sponsorship of the Central Texas Huddle. Be sure to check back next week. We'll get the results of some of the key games in the region, and we'll go over the rankings and schedule for the following week. See you next week.